Mom.
Hi, Jana. Welcome back to Let's Get Lost in Classic Movies.
I'm Jana.
And I'm Debbie.
Today we are diving into a film that I think is going to fit really well into a cultural reference. It's called Gaslight from 1944. It's starring Ingrid Bergman, Charles Boyer, Joseph Cotton, Angela Lansbury, this was her first film. She was 19. And it was directed by George Cukor. Mom, where do you begin with this movie?
Well, let's just do a little intro of it.
Sounds good.
I'm not going to tell a whole lot about it, but it's about a little girl who gets woken up in the middle of the night. She hears a noise, and she goes downstairs and finds her aunt dead. She lived with her aunt because both the parents were dead. So she always lived with her aunt. So it begins with her leaving the place where she lived most of her life there. She leaves to get away from, the thought of it and everything. So that's where the movie takes you in to why it happened, what happened. So as we go along, she gets older, and of course she starts practicing singing because her aunt was a famous opera star, and she did a lot of singing. And so she wants to try and be like her aunt, although she doesn't have the voice that her aunt did. So this is where the movie's taking you. Of course, she meets a guy, and apparently he's in love with her, and it goes on about that. I'm not going to say any more because the whole thing leads up to what happens and how they find out about her death, her aunt.
Thank you, Mom. Very interesting. Please join us back for our discussion with Gaslight, and happy watching.
See you back.
I'm always losing things and hiding things, and I can never find them. I don't know where I put them. That was a knife, wasn't it? And I have lost it. I must look for it, mustn't I? If I don't find it, you'll put me in the madhouse. Where could it be now? Perhaps it's behind this picture. Yes, it must be here. No, where shall I look now? Perhaps I put it over here. This night will be a long night.
But it will end. It's starting to clear. In the morning when the sun rises, sometimes it's hard to believe there ever was a night. You'll find that too.
Welcome back. I'm Jana.
And I'm Debbie. Hope you enjoyed the movie. A lot of twists and turns in this movie, but it's very interesting how it all comes about and, what happens in this movie.
Yeah, it's a heavy movie.
Yeah.
Mom, when did you get lost in this movie?
Oh, gosh, it's a little hard to say because I thought in the beginning it was a little slow going. So one of the major things that kind of triggered me was she marries the guy, and they're at the London Towers. And the way he talks about the jewels, it's like a burning sensation with him, that these jewels are everything to him, And
is that when you got lost in it?
I think that's when I started.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty far into the movie.
Yes. Like I said, I think the beginning, to me, was a little slow.
I got lost in the movie. Well, I have seen this movie once before, and it has been a while, so I didn't remember what happened. There was one piece of it towards the end that I remembered, but I didn't remember anything else about it. And I got drawn in when she was in the carriage as a little girl, which is the very beginning.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you see strangled on the newspaper And, you know, you're thinking, okay, well, what just happened? And now she's leaving. And, you know, with movies, you don't always know, there's not always a purpose for everything, right? Like, you know, you're trying to, when I'm watching the movie, I'm trying to say, okay, what's going to have a purpose later on down the road and what is just part of the plot. And so I really feel like when she went to singing, they made it such a big deal that she had this pleasant relationship with the singing coach. I don't know, maybe his profession has a fancy name or whatever. But he just was so tender with her, but that doesn't come up again.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it got a little slower and then it picks up. To be honest, this movie was really hard for me to hear happen to her. All of the little things that he starts saying to her. So before we dive into the actual movie, I'm going to give you the definition as Google gives it for gaslight. But before I do that, because it is a cultural reference when people say you're being gaslit, somebody's gaslighting you. When somebody says that they're being gaslit or somebody's gaslighting them, it does come from this movie. Well, this movie, the gaslight plot actually originates from a play in 1938 by Patrick Hamilton. And then it gets turned into a British film in 1940. And then it gets remade in 1944, which is this film that we watched. So, Mom, based on this movie, what would you say that gaslight means to you?
It means to me that someone is trying to make you crazy, make you go crazy or think you're crazy, and does everything. It's weird how he does this with her. You know, how he got the brooch out of her purse is amazing because you don't see that. I mean, and she's got her purse. So how did he get the brooch out of there? You know?
Yeah.
And then the watch. How did he get the watch in the purse, which she had her purse? I mean, how did he slip it in there? You know, and those things they don't show you, you know, but it makes you think, you know, wow, am I really going crazy?
Yeah. It's interesting, the perspective of this movie, because there's two different ways I could see you directing this movie to show where the audience thinks she's actually going crazy. Like you're resonating with her. The director and the cinematography makes you feel like you are her and you are going crazy, where we could see as an outside perspective that he was doing this to her.
Right.
Which I think adds a different layer of a thriller because you can't do anything for her, so you don't know what is going to happen.
Right.
So the definition of gaslight is using psychological methods to question their own sanity, memory, or powers of reasoning. And obviously, this is an extreme version where he takes it for his own, you know, he has this master plan to basically take over the house, to be able to own the jewels and that sort of thing.
To find the jewels.
Find the jewels.
He's been wanting to get back in that house. And the only way he could do it was to marry her because she owns the house. So that was the only way he could get back in that house and search for the jewels, which has a burning sensation with him that he has to find the jewels. And in the meantime, because he is making so much noise up in the attic, he's making her think she's crazy and that she's imagining that someone's walking, that the gas light went down. So all of this. I also like the way they did her makeup under her eyes. It made her look tired and made her look like she was crazy. It was very dark underneath her eyes, if you noticed that. And that kind of adds to that, that she is going crazy.
What an elaborate plan for him to do to where he builds out this entire plot. And towards the beginning of the movie to the middle of the movie, you start realizing, oh, he knows a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And you start thinking, this is going south. So,
plus he doesn't want any people over. He doesn't want to go out with her. He wants her to stay in the house and be shut up. And, and so every day he's doing a little bit more about her forgetting, or you didn't remember this, or you lost this, and you're forgetting things. So, in time, if you're being told this over and over and over, you're going to start believing it.
Well, and
it's like a brainwash.
Yeah, it is like a brainwash. Well, and he also, this is the part that I think is so much, and this, I think gaslight is used a lot. I think, when somebody says narcissist, I think it's used a lot. But I do think that this movie portrays a narcissist guy very well.
Yeah.
And the fact that then she starts to question him, and she says, and he calls it out. Like, are you being suspicious? She doesn't even get to have her own thoughts.
Right.
Her thoughts become weaponized to her.
Right.
So here are some examples that Google came up with gaslight uses. So blatant lying, they lie to your face about things that happened, denying reality. Minimizing and trivializing. They dismiss your feelings as unreasonable or unimportant. Blame shifting. They twist situations to make you the one at fault. Withholding and changing the subject. When confronted, they refuse to listen or change the subject. Questioning your sanity. They tell you that you're crazy or too sensitive, or that your perceptions are wrong. Attacking and weaponizing. They attack your insecurities or use compliments as manipulation. So he did all of these.
Right. All of them. Yes. Brilliant. Brilliant.
I know. And the idea of, first of all, wouldn't this be amazing to see as a play?
Oh, yeah. No, I think so. I think it would be great.
And the playwright who came up with this it's so interesting. So they did say that the movie in 1940, and I know at one point, maybe in season 2, if we get a season 2, we will do a remake category where we watch a movie that we've already watched. We watch a remake of it. But they say that the British film in 1940 is quite a bit darker and more raw.
Okay.
Whereas this one is a bit more dramatized and acting and big actors.
Right. Right. And also, that Angela Lansbury did a few films, but her big thing was being on TV. Murder, She Wrote, as a huge, long time TV show of Murder, She Wrote. But that is Angela Lansbury. So in this movie, she's young, very young. And you can see how she resembles the Angela Lansbury that's on TV.
Wasn't her character so fun?
Yeah.
They had her and they had the neighbor as comedic relief.
Yeah.
Thank God, because this was a heavy movie. It made my stomach turn hearing what he said to her, because there's no reasoning with somebody like this. And it can make you feel like she was very caring. She showed up and was there for him when she, when she could be, when he wasn't making her feel like she was crazy. And it just goes to show you that you can show so much compassion for somebody who's just the wrong person.
Right.
But I do want to say that Gaslight was nominated for 7 Academy Awards. Best Actress by Ingrid Bergman, which she won. And then they also won Best Interior Decoration. And then they were nominated for Best Actor by Charles Boyer, Best Supporting Actress as Angela Lansbury, and a few others. But can you imagine that she was nominated for her very first role?
I know. Amazing.
And then Ingrid Bergman for that Academy Award for the Oscar, she was up against Barbara Stanwyck in Double Indemnity, Claudette Colbert in Since You Went Away, Betty Davis for Mr.
Skeffington.
and Greer Garson for Miss Parkington.
Greer Garson was excellent in that movie. But anyway.
I thought Ingrid Bergman played this
Very well.
She is
Very well.
an incredible actress.
Yeah.
And to see her go, because we just watched Notorious.
Right.
So to see her go from this very independent, strong-willed, this is going to be what it's going to be, and for this very passive, meek, afraid.
Right.
She shows fear and romance, I think, very well.
Right. One of the scenes I really enjoyed was when he was sleeping in the drawing room and she's going to put some coal on the fire. And he wakes up and says, Paula, if you want coal on the fire, ring the bell and have them come and put coal on. And, you know, he makes this whole big deal with Nancy, Angela Lansbury, you know, even to the point where he says, look at your complexion. It's so, what word did he use? Not pale, but so smooth or something. Maybe you could give your mistress some makeup hints. Just things like that, you know, is to me, you know, and she knows how she feels about Nancy anyway, because he just throws her up all the time with her, you know. So.
And then he makes it such a big deal that she makes it a big deal. She blows up at him and he's like, what are you talking about?
Right. And the other one was when the painting is disappeared. That, oh my God. Amazing.
You just
amazing.
Feel for her.
Yeah.
And then how she Ingrid Bergman switches from being romantic with him when she finds out that he's going to take her to the theater or whatever.
Right, theater. Mm-hmm.
And then he reacts to the painting.
Right.
And then she goes into
and that was on the plot.
Fear.
It was the plot to do that. To lift her up and then slam her back down. It was just the plot to do that with her.
Yeah.
And Joseph Cotton was great in this movie. He always plays good parts. Of course, in this particular movie, he was the good guy. I've seen him as the bad guy.
Mm.
So,
and he's easy to look at.
Yeah. But he was great in solving this mystery and about the jewels and catching him.
Yeah.
And then turning him in.
Right. Because imagine it's a movie, but imagine this movie doesn't have someone who cares about her.
Right.
To search her. I mean, really, if we're going to be honest here, how many times has this actually happened in real life?
Yeah.
Where husbands put their wives away.
Yeah.
I mean, it happened to Cary Grant and his mom.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine how many times this happened to people.
I know. It can happen. Scary.
Well, and it's coming out in plain sight because he says to her, we need 2 doctors, so we'll go ahead and work on that.
Right. To get committed, you have to have 2 doctors.
I think it's, you see how, I think what's so great about these movies is you feel like you might have done something different. She didn't have any family. She didn't have any friends.
Right. Because she didn't want her to have any.
She didn't
Although
trust her nanny.
The older lady wanted to be a friend. And, that time where they came, and she was with Joseph Cotton to visit them, and he just blew up. I don't want people in this house. And then Nancy leaves, and she says, well, Gregory, I would have liked to have seen her and visit with her. Well, then why didn't you just say that? I mean, it's like, well, after you blew up like that, I'm going to say, yeah, well, I want to see him anyway.
What a lunatic.
Because she's already on the edge of know that she's going crazy.
I mean,
I think she's going.
her facial expressions are just unreal. Are you ready for your martini shot?
My martini shot. You go first. I'm going to think about mine.
Okay. My martini shot. Oh, I loved it. Was when he's tied up in the chair and she pulls out the knife and she goes, I don't think there's a knife here. You must be going mad. Oh, that scene was amazing.
Yeah. And then she throws it and goes, oh, was that a knife I had in my hand? Oh, I must look for it. I've lost it. Now I must look for it. And then she finds the brooch.
Right.
Which the brooch was not his mother's anyway. The brooch was her aunt's.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
okay.
It was not his mother's. He took it out of the dresser.
Okay.
It was part of her jewelry, not his mother.
Wow.
So, yeah, this is how evil he is.
And also, can we just say what a great place to hide jewelry in a dress?
Yeah, I know. So all the world could see it, including the man that gave her the stones.
Who was the man that gave her the stones?
It was probably the Tsar.
The Russian Tsar?
Mm-hmm.
When she sang.
Right.
What was your martini shot?
Oh, my martini shot. I would have to say mine would be at the end when they're out on the balcony or outside. And she goes, this is going to be a long night. And Joseph Cotton goes, yes, but then tomorrow will come and it'll seem like there was never a night. And he goes, let me come and sit and talk with you. And she turns around and grabs his arm and says, yes, I would love that. I think that was my martini shot.
Oh, Mom, that's so beautiful.
Mm.
Does it make you emotional?
Yeah. I usually cry at movies anyway.
I know you do. What makes you, what part of that makes you emotional?
Well, anything in a movie that's tender, or whether it's a dance or a look or a hug or something, always makes me emotional.
Mm. That one quote, even just because I'm new on my Taylor Swift journey, reminds me of her new song that she just put out, Opalite, where it says, basically talks about how the sky used to have an onyx sky and now it's opalite, meaning the sky used to be black. And now it's sunshine. And you make your own sunshine.
Right.
But it is a tender moment. And it's a good reminder that we all go through hardship.
Mm-hmm.
And you come out and you can say,
it's over.
It's over.
Right.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us.
And we hope to see you back again.
Please follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe and like. We also want to hear your martini shot.
Yes. We'd love to hear from any of you. And we can, bring those up on our podcast.
Yes, please add in the comments what your martini shot would have been.
Yes, that would be great.
Have a great day, and we will see you next time.
Bye.